So without any further delay, I think we should start, we should move ahead. Till the last class, we discussed basically about the consumers, about the behavior of the consumers, about the market segmentation, then about market targeting and positioning your product. Now, today we will be discussing about the product itself, because whatever we have studied so far is just a plan how to get into the market. But how you will get into the market? You must get into the market with a product or a service. So we will start with the product concept, then we can move into the classification of products. Basically, what does a product mean? A product means it is a bundle of utilities. A product is a bundle of utilities for the consumer, consisting of various features. It can give you some psychological benefit, social benefit, physical benefit, economic benefit. So it is a bundle of utilities. When the product is felt, is seen, is touched, it is a tangible product. When the product becomes invisible, but you will get certain benefit because of that product, then that product becomes a service. So if we talk about the attributes of a product, attributes basically means the characteristics. So if we know about the characteristics of a product, then first you can start with the tangibility and intangibility of product, what we have just discussed now. Tangible means you can feel the product physically. Intangible means you will get the benefit, but you physically cannot see that product, you cannot touch that particular product. Again, another characteristic of product could be a product as it is a bundle of utilities. So its other characteristics, if we talk about physical products, then it could be its color. Just a minute, some disturbance is coming, and give me just a second. Okay. So the other associated attributes with a color, with a product, can be its color, its brand name, its after sales service part. These are the associated attributes of a and in return, or in return of some money, some economic value. And the last characteristic of a product is satisfaction. When a consumer purchases a product, it should give him or her both mentally and psychologically satisfaction. That means whatever the consumer expects from the product should be fulfilled. So these are the essential characteristics of a product. Now, if we classify products, then in general, all the products can be classified into four categories. One is your consumer goods, second is your industrial goods, third is your durable and non-durable goods, and the fourth one is service. The first three categories, they are tangible products. The last category is intangible product. But nowadays the service sector is booming up and it has got high importance in the international sector also. So let us talk about consumer goods. What do you mean by consumer goods? You anytime when you are coming across a particular term, you read that term twice. Consumer goods, that means these goods primarily would be used by individual consumers, households. That is why they are consumer goods. They are using for their self-benefit, they are not using it for any commercial purpose. Under consumer goods, there are also some subsections. One is your convenience goods. Convenience goods, you can take examples of soap, biscuits, toothpaste, butter. That means these goods are frequently purchased by people with least possible time devotion. That means they need a toothpaste, they will simply approach a stationery shop and ask him for a toothpaste. They have already decided on the brand, whether they will purchase Close-Up or they will purchase Colgate or they will purchase Dabur. Convenience goods means these goods are frequently used and consumer don't waste time in researching intensively on these goods. Then the next subcategory under consumer goods could be your shopping goods. Shopping goods means these goods are purchased only after some research. That means only after the buyer has spent some time. And in which way the buyer spends time? The buyer spends time in comparing price with other product of similar category, in comparing quality, in comparing style, design. So, in this case, consumer does a bit of research. That means the consumer spends some time before purchasing these goods. These are called shopping goods, and the best example you can relate it while you are purchasing a dress for you. Ladies, if they are purchasing dresses for themselves, and when we are purchasing a pair of trousers or shorts for us. In that case, we spend some time before the actual purchase. So those are shopping goods. Then there is also another subcategory under consumer goods, which is known as specialty goods. Specialty goods mean you will spend more time before purchasing this particular item. You can take the example of a color television or a refrigerator or an air conditioner or even a car. These are specialty goods means the consumer purchases these goods after a, after a certain research, after spending some time, because these goods, they don't change or they don't purchase frequently. This will be an investment, this will be an expenditure for nearly 5 to 10 years. So for that reason, they become more conscious before purchasing these goods. So the first category, consumer goods, which is used by the individuals basically. The subsections, the subcategories under consumer goods are convenience goods, example is your toothpaste. Shopping goods, example is your garments. And specialty goods, example could be your refrigerator. Then we move to the second category, which is known as industrial goods. Industrial goods means those goods which are meant to be purchased by some institutions or some organization to use those goods as inputs in their production process. Suppose a manufacturing unit of ready-made garments. So here the organization will go on purchasing clothes, and that too in a large scale. Similarly, there is a fabricating unit. That fabricating unit will go on purchasing iron or steel or aluminium to use those goods to make their finished products. Basically, industrial goods mean that. So depending on their use, industrial goods also is subdivided into 5 groups. From these groups, you can also have a clear picture of industrial goods. Now you take the examples of heavy industries. Heavy industries like your iron industries, iron and steel, cement industries, aluminium industries. They need raw materials, basically the minerals, the iron ore. So raw material, in the process of procuring raw material, that is one subgroup of industrial goods. Similarly, I gave you examples of fabricating materials. Fabricating materials, this category, what does it mean? Suppose a unit is making your iron grills or aluminium grills. So they will be purchasing iron. They will not purchase iron ore. Now you can well differentiate. Iron ore is purchased by those industries as raw materials, because those industries are using raw materials to produce iron. The second category, subcategory, fabricating unit, they are purchasing iron to manufacture their goods. Similarly, there are some other industries which manufacture equipment which needs to be installed. The equipments need to be installed, like a particular washing machine which can wash railway clothes. That means it is a huge machine operated automatically and can wash hundreds of curtains, bedsheets at a time. So those machines need to be installed, and for that they need some special skilled person to accomplish the work. Like you install an inverter also, small example of that. When you are installing an inverter, a special skilled person in that particular trade will come and install that machine in your house so that you will get uninterrupted power supply. There is also another subcategory which is called accessory equipment. Accessory equipment, as the name itself suggests, accessory means these equipment act like supporting equipments for the functioning of another bigger equipment or bigger machinery. And the last category, subcategory under industrial goods is your operating supplies. Operating supplies, that means it is like you are purchasing stationery for your office. For your office you need writing pad, for your office you need pen, for your office you need dustbins. Similarly, for organizations, operating supplies, basically you can think of lubricating oil, the office stationaries, all those things which play a supporting role to facilitate your process. So these are the industrial goods section, and its subcategories depend on the procurement of their goods like raw materials. One unit, one is your fabricating materials, another organizations which focus on installations, others on accessories, equipments, and operating supplies. So till this point, one is consumer good, one is industrial goods. Another category is there of product which is known as your durable and non-durable goods. Durable goods mean these goods will last for a longer period of time. Like your television, like your refrigerator, like your fan, the goods which will last for a longer period of time. And non-durable goods means these goods will be consumed after one or two uses. And you can well find the examples of non-durable goods means your soap, bathing soap, soft drinks, toothpaste. And the last category of product is service. As I said, it is intangible. So, how can we describe service? Service basically means an intangible activity done to give benefit to others. If that service, if that activity comes with an economic value, then it becomes a service or commercial service. So examples of services are large. When you are repairing your bike, that is also a service you are expecting from another person. When an electrician comes to your house and rectifies the disorder, that is also a service you are hiring or you are availing. Banking also is a service. Insurance also is a service. So services are intangible in nature but give benefit to the consumer. It is associated with a monetary value. So this category we use every day as we are availing the service of a hawker who gives us newspaper, a milkman who supplies us package of milk. Services are an integral part of life for every human being and also for the organizations. So these are basically the categories of products. Now you can unmute and ask if there is anything doubt in your mind, whether it is understood or not, whatever I have explained. Hello.
No doubt, sir, so far. No.
Today I am happy because more number of participants are present today. So Mukesh, did you inform Vijaypal to attend, or he was not accessible?
Actually, sir, I am not getting his number. He is not.
You don't have a group. You don't have group.
Sir,
WhatsApp group.
there was a group. There is a group, sir, for MCO 5 subject, but he was not there also. So I'm not
Okay,
able to
okay.
connect to him. Once I connect to him, I'll definitely let him know, sir.
Okay. So then we can move to product mix, which is very interesting to be learned. Now, so far we have covered what is a product, the essential characteristics of a product, classification of products. Now, we'll move to product mix. What does it signify? Like, you'll have to have mixture. In a mixture, what happens? There are several ingredients which mix up together, but everyone has its presence felt in the mixture. It's not a solution, it's a mixture. You can feel each element, but combinedly they give you a better taste mixture. Similarly, a product mix is also, it is a set of all the products and items which a particular seller offers to sell. Product mix is the set of all items which a particular seller wants to sell. So what are those products and items can be called? The different products in the product mix, the different products in the set are known as product lines. Product line means, let me give you one example. It is also a beautiful example is given in your book also. One company is ITC. It has chain of hotels. It is also making ready-made garments. It's a brand name of Wills. It is having a grocery wing, and they are also manufacturing copies for students. And apart from all those, they are more known as the cigarette makers, the top cigarette makers in the country. So each of these products is a product line of the company. Hotel is one product line, cigarette is another, ready-made garments is another, grocery is another, and paper is another. So if we take the example of ITC company, it has 6 product lines. Now what happens in product lines? Suppose it has got 10 hotels. Then in the product line, hotel, under the head hotel, the product length has 10 items. Do you understand me now? ITC has 6 different products. Each product constitutes a column, and each product is a product line. Suppose under the hotel heading, under the hotel column, there are 10 hotels at 10 different locations. Then all these hotels will be called the product line length, the length of hotels. Similarly, if it is for cigarettes, then cigarette is the main column, main product line, under which it manufactures Wills Navicot, it manufactures Gold Flake, it manufactures Wills Flake. So these are all the length of the product line. So a product line basically is an expression generally used to describe a group of related products. If we understand product line, then there is one other word which is used as product mix width. What does that product mix width mean? Product mix width mean, suppose now you can look at your book, your every page has got a length and a breadth. The breadth is also known as the width. Similarly, whatever columns we have written for any organization, the width of all those items constituting the columns are known as the product mix width. That means the width is horizontal and the line length is vertical. And what will be depth? Depth we have already discussed. Depth means how many products they have under one column of different specifications. Suppose it is gold flake. Let us take the example of ITC cigarette. That is, the product line length comprises of Navicot, gold flake, Wills flake. Then what will be the depth? Depth means, suppose in gold flake segment, they are manufacturing king size, medium size and small size. So that is the depth. So this is all about your product mix. It contains a product line. As much product, as much different products constitute the product line, the product width goes more. And when they have varieties of product, for a particular product, they have varieties in terms of different sizes, in terms of different price range. That shows the depth of product mix. So is that understood? Mukesh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, actually, yesterday Surbhi was present. I don't know whether she is present today or not.
Yes, sir, I'm present, sir.
Because, so you joined late, Surbhi.
Yeah, actually, I wasn't able to join. I wasn't able to join the link. So that's why I took.
Okay, the same link you would be using for the next 3 days
Yeah,
also.
but actually, I had something. I mean, I couldn't join. Actually, today I was joining from laptop, so I was just searching for the correct place, and that took me a little bit of time. But I
Okay, okay.
joined
Most welcome
like,
to the session.
oh, no, sir, I joined like
So,
20 minutes back. I just joined 10 minutes late.
okay, okay. I didn't notice you because I was concentrating on the delivery of my speech.
Yeah.
Okay, then if you understand product mix, then every time you picturize your product mix and product line, it is all done according to some strategies. Strategies means something you are doing to tackle a specific situation. Strategic means the set of actions you are supposed to do to give you benefit in future. And as you know, product mix is not a static position. It means, suppose you are manufacturing 6 or 7 items, you cannot sit complacent with those 6, 7 items which will be acceptable, which will be accepted by the consumers for the times to come, for eternity. You have to accommodate yourself. You have to introduce products in the market as per the changing taste of the consumers. So, product mix is not a static phenomenon. It's a highly dynamic concept. That means it will change as per the changes observed in the consumer's taste. So the companies basically always try to maintain an optimal product mix an optimal product mix with a view to maintain a balance between current profitability and future growth. It is always done with a view to maintain a balance between current profitability and future growth and stability. So, as per this strategy, what does an organization do? In case of product mix, the organization always watches the environment, watches the market very closely. So when they feel that one of our products is not doing well in the market, they think of dropping that product so that they can introduce another product which may be acceptable to the customers. So one of the strategies when you are not doing well with a product, you can simply drop that product from your product line, which is in business terms known as contraction of product line. Contraction means you are squeezing your product line. Similarly, when you are doing well with all your existing product, but as per the changing taste of the consumer, you think to introduce a new product, and you are sure that this product will be very much appreciated and acceptable to the customers. So, with the existing line, when you introduce a new product, it becomes the expansion of product mix. Similarly, if you are changing the quality of your product, you can, after changing the quality, either you can quote a high price for that product, or even after changing the quality, if you quote a low price for that product, which you think will be a very tempting matter for the consumers to go for your product, you can do both the things. After changing the quality standard, if you are hiking the price, it is called trading up, UP up. And if you are decreasing your price, then it is known as trading down. So these are some of the strategies. Another strategy could be your product differentiation. Product differentiation means you are supposed to introduce a product which will be clearly distinguished from other products in the market. A firm tries to differentiate its products from the competitors by describing either its ultra-modern design or by highlighting its quality, any attribute that differentiates your product from your competitors. So these are some of the strategies with which you can do your product mix. And one thing keep in your mind, that product mix is not static. No organization will sit complacent with their existing product line. As per the requirement, as per the changing taste of the consumers, the organization always should be on their toes to add or contract or introduce new products to fulfill the needs of consumer and to stay in the market. So till this point, anyone, do you have any doubt?
No,
Or
sir.
shall I go ahead? Okay then. Because now we will be entering into services which is entirely different from the physical products which you can see, which you can feel, which you can touch. So services, as we have already discussed, it is an intangible activity done to give benefit to others, to give benefit to another party. And in commercial terms, it is always associated with an economic value. If you are doing service without any commercial value or economic value, then actually you are rendering a social service at your own cost, which will be beneficial to the society. So what are services? What would be the main characteristics of services? As you know, first characteristic would be intangibility. Second characteristic, very interesting characteristic, services, you cannot preserve it to be consumed later. Suppose you are having a dairy milk chocolate. Now you ate half of it and you can keep the rest part in your refrigerator to be consumed later. Services cannot be consumed in that way. Services have one special quality, that it has got simultaneous production and consumption. That means whenever it is produced, it is consumed immediately. Suppose you are in a restaurant, you have ordered for a cup of tea. When the waiter serves you the tea, his service part gets over and you start consuming the tea. Immediate production and consumption. It cannot be stored to be consumed partly or in installments. The third characteristic of service is that, third characteristic is heterogeneity. Heterogeneity means not equal every time. Heterogeneity means not equal every time. Let me give you an example. Suppose you have a rubber stamp. Anytime you put it on the ink and stamp a paper, every time the same letter will appear on the paper where you have stamped. The same design, the same letters will appear every time. But services are provided by human beings. You visited a restaurant. The waiter who received you in your first visit may not receive you in exactly the same manner in the second time. He may receive you more warmly. He may receive you casually. He may receive you with the same warmth, but with change in words. That is heterogeneity. That means the same exact procedure, exact wording, exact behavior cannot be expected in services all the time. That shows its heterogeneity. And another characteristic of services is that it is perishable. Perishable means it is consumed and that service is over for you. Suppose you are availing the service of an electrician. He comes to your house, gives you a service, takes his waiters and goes away. For that day, whatever services he was supposed to give you, he has already given, and you have given money in return of that service, so that service perished for you. If you want to avail that service for the second time, again you have to pay. So that is perishability. So four different characteristics of service is that: one, it is intangible, simultaneous production and consumption, heterogeneity, and perishability. Then how products and services, they depend on each other. Now we will relate how products and services are interdependent on each other. Well, products, you can think of any product which are manufactured. Now after the production, it will reach the market for the consumers. How it will reach? Definitely it will reach by some transporting process. And that transportation is a service provided by some outsourced agency or someone else. Carrying your goods from your manufacturing unit to the market is a service. That is interdependence. That is called buyer and supplier relationship. Sale of manufactured goods relationship. Manufactured goods to the point of sales service. So whatever products you are manufacturing or producing, it needs a service to reach the consumer. That is the interdependence. Then, as you know, services cannot be seen, can only be felt. So there are many challenges in the marketing of services. What are the challenges? When you will be asked about the challenges in marketing of services, you just remember those characteristics and expand those particular characteristics to find out the challenges. As you know, they are intangible, so they cannot be inventoried. Inventoried means you cannot maintain a stock register for the services. You can only have a register to whom you have rendered service and how much revenue you have generated from that service. But you cannot get them in stock for 1 month so that you can meet the demand of people if it exceeds your normal demand. Suppose you are running a after-sales service unit of refrigerator and air conditioners, and you have 3 or 4 skilled manpower with you who are providing the services. And every day you are getting 5 to 10 orders to be executed to render service to 10 consumers. Suppose one day it reaches 20. Again, you have to manage it, reach 4 persons. You cannot store their extra time in other days to accomplish the task of extra 16 persons. It cannot be invented because it is intangible. Because services are heterogeneous, so the main objective of services would be to give satisfaction to customers. The process, the end result of the process should end up with satisfaction of customer. The process should not be exactly equal. So it should not be given top importance to repeat it bit by bit every time. So these are the few challenges. So what would be the marketing mix for the services? Because you know, service, just think about your insurance service. Let me take a break and give you an example and how these people are really selling their product. Hats off to them. Think of insurance industry. Insurance is purely a service. What happens in insurance? Suppose you are purchasing a smartphone by spending 20,000 rupees. But you don't have any regret for spending 20,000 rupees for a smartphone, because immediately after giving 20,000 rupees, you are physically getting a phone which you can use, which the new feature of the phone gives you immense pleasure. You feel privileged, you show it to your friends, you get some satisfaction from the product immediately. But what happens in case of insurance as a service sector? The insurance agent will go on convincing you for a longer period of time. Once you get convinced and if you pay the same 20,000 rupees to him, in return of that 20,000 rupees, you will only be getting a paper which in no way will give you any pleasure. And what is the benefit of insurance? If the customer dies prematurely, then his family member will get the benefit, not the person himself. So it is difficult. This concept, this service selling is difficult. So for marketing of these services, the marketing mix has got some more elements in addition to the previous marketing mix elements. As you know, the previous marketing mix comprises of 4 elements: product, price, promotion, and place. Now for services, it needs to add 3 more elements. One is people, the 5th P, people. Because people means here the employees, the people of the organization who will be rendering those services, who will be generating revenues in return of giving those services to consumers. So they are very important. Unless they are well trained, unless they are skillful, unless they present their product, their service effectively, they will not generate revenue. So these people are important in the marketing mix of services. Next, another P, which is called your physical evidence. Physical evidence means you need to maintain an environment in which the service is delivered. You need to maintain that environment very decent, so that whenever a customer gets into that environment, he builds up a good image of yours. So you can see it in many of the banks and insurance organizations. If you have ever visited any of the branches of a bank, specifically the private banks and the insurance company, you will be happy, you will be feeling happy to visit a branch because they are very decently maintained. That is the physical evidence, and they need to maintain that. Otherwise, they cannot build that image in the consumer's mind. They cannot position themselves well in the consumer's mind. And third is new process. Process means how effectively, how conveniently, how quickly they respond to the customer and address his queries. That is a very vital part of service sector. When a consumer is opting for your service, how effectively you satisfy him with your service. So, marketing mix of services has got some more elements, and believe me, service marketing is a bit tougher than the selling of physical products. So with this we come to the conclusion of the 7th unit and of your 3rd block, which was telling all about the product, its concepts and classifications. So any of you having any doubt can ask me to clarify his or her doubts, or we will move to the next unit, in which we will be discussing about the product development and product life cycle. It's break time, guys.
Yes, sir. We can proceed, sir.
So there is only one response from Surbhi Mukesh, And I also want to hear from other Pinky, Priya.
We can move ahead, sir, with unit 8, sir.
Okay,
No doubt, sir.
very good. Thank you, Priya. Now, going ahead with the product, I told you to think yourself as an entrepreneur. You have made your market research. You have come up with your market segmentation. You have now come up with your product or product mix. Now, you will try for product development. Product development. Product development. Development is always an innovation. Development is always a change for betterment. So product development basically means adding some new features to the product or making some changes in the product which you think will be appreciated by your consumer. This also happens if you want to introduce a product which can act as a substitute to another product which is doing well in the market. Apart from your existing product, suppose you want to introduce another product which will act as a substitute to an established product of other organization in the market. That is also a part of product development, product innovation, bringing in changes. So how this product development process takes place? For any development process, first you have to generate ideas how to develop. And you know, generally, ideas, we should arrive at an idea after discussing with some of the knowledgeable persons in that field. That's why before taking a vital decision in your life, you consult your parents or you consult your close friends. For that reason only, because we think, yes, we are thinking in this particular direction and we are supposed to take this decision, but this is my individual thinking. Let me consult with some of my well-wishers so that they can give me a proper view or proper assessment of my decision. So for generating ideas, you have to interact with people, knowledgeable people in that particular trade. For these discussions, interactions, some special terms are used. One is called your brainstorming. Brainstorming basically means a meeting with 5 to 10 numbers of people. And the specialty is that in brainstorming, the group, every individual in the group, every member in the group is permitted, is allowed to express him or her freely, to express his or her opinion freely. There is no restriction. So after getting suggestions, remarks from 10 people, you can arrive at a conclusion which will be beneficial for your organization and for yourself. Similarly, the discussion can take place in a focus group. Focus group means the members or the persons you choose are from the consumer segment. Now the brainstorming could be from your organizational members, your colleagues, your seniors, but focus group would be created. That means those persons will be selected from your consumer segment. By discussing with them, you can get some new ideas because it is the consumers who expresses their need for new features in a product. Then once you generate ideas by this brainstorming or focus group, you do screening. As you know, screening test means you are just verifying whether these ideas or which of these ideas would be suitable to your organization as per your capability, as per your finance, as per your research and development, as per your workforce. So on that basis, once the ideas are screened, you will arrive at the conclusion of accepting one or two ideas. One as the main idea and the second as the backup idea. Once you decide on an idea, then you have to develop a concept among all the employees or the personnel involved with your organization. You have to develop a concept in their mind to adopt that idea. That means whatever idea you have decided upon, it must get transformed into a specific product, and that concept should be clear, that picture should be clear among the minds of your employees or the persons who are associated with your organization. So, what we have done so far in product development process, we have tried to generate ideas, different ideas by brainstorming, by discussing with the focus group. Then whatever ideas we obtained from them, we did screening of those ideas and finally arrived at one or two ideas which we can execute with our available resources like our manpower, like our finance, like our consumer segment. After finalizing an idea, we are developing the concept. That means we are now trying to introduce a new product, and that concept of the product should be well communicated with the persons in the organizations who are supposed to be associated with the product. Then business analysis is done, in which respect the business analysis will be done in estimating costs, prices, profits at different levels. That means how much margin you are supposed to give to the retailers, to the wholesalers, so that your product can move well in the market. So after doing all these things, first any organization goes for test marketing. Test marketing means the marketing or the selling of product will be within a limited circle, within a limited number of consumers. The objective of this test marketing is to get the feedback from the consumers, whether they appreciate your product or not. What changes they want in your product to be more appreciated. All those feedbacks are taken into consideration, and doing a slight modification in the product, then the organization goes for a large scale production. Once the organization goes for large scale production, then the products are available for commercial marketing. Okay, so that is the process of your product development. Now we can move to some interesting facts. Many of you can ask, sir, if so much of things are done before the introduction of a product, the research and development is done, ideas are generated, keeping the product in mind, the market is segmented, we have already decided on a price. Then why all the new products don't succeed in the market? If they are spending a lot of time in this, then every product, new product is supposed to do well in the market. But why some of them fail? There could be several reasons for the failure of a new product in the market. One is if the product quality-wise seems to be inferior. If the shape, the color, the design of the product doesn't appeal to the consumer. If the packaging of the product doesn't express the potential of the product, which is not appreciated by the consumers. Many times, brand name, if the product doesn't have a reputed brand name, it seems to be less preferred by the consumer. Sometimes it is services, basically the after-sales services, which drags the product back because the consumers don't have good experience with the after-sales services of the product, of the organization, and the product may fail because of its pricing. The price which the consumer spends for the product doesn't feel it's giving justified value to the money. In many cases, proper advertisements are not done for the product. So there could be many reasons for the failure of a new product. But as you know, if the organization knows the reason from its marketing research, then it can again succeed. But if the marketing research is not done properly for the failure of a product, then the product will never position itself in the market again. It will be very difficult. This is all about the product concept, the development process, the reasons for new products, the reasons of failure of new products in the market. So while we are discussing so much about product, we must know about the product life cycle. Like we have our life cycle, one is our infancy, then the youth time, then the adult youth. Similarly, a product has got a life cycle, and a product has got 4 stages in its life. The infancy stage is known as the introduction stage. Whenever a new product is launched in the market, it remains in its introduction stage. Because the product is introduced in the market recently and previously it has no market share, so its sales in this infancy stage, introduction stage, tends to be low because the product is very new to the consumers. Then once the consumers become aware of the product, appreciate the product because of its quality, because of its affordability, because of its good value for money, then the sales of that product goes higher. When the sales goes higher, the product enters the growth stage. As long as the sales goes up in a vertical way, up to that period, it can be assumed that the product is in the growth stage. But after a certain period of time, if the organization observes that the product is moving more or less at the same stage, that means the growth rate becomes very slow, or the growth graph becomes horizontal. It is not going up any further. That means the product has come to its maturity stage. So in this maturity stage, if the organization doesn't find the proper reason why the sale is not going up like before, if the organization doesn't properly address this problem, then the product enters into its decline stage. Decline stage means the sale of that product will go down sharply, and in a very short span of time, there will be no demand for that product, and you can say the product will die. So like human beings, product has also got 4 stages: introduction, growth, maturity, and decline. So what should an organization do to avoid this decline stage? To avoid the decline stage of any product, an organization must improve the quality of product gradually. The organization may add new features to the product. The organization may look for new user segment to make that product through. The marketer may give more incentives to the distribution channel to push their product, to push for their products in the market. The organization can spend more on advertising in order to promote the sales effort, in order to promote awareness among consumers. But in any way, an organization must take any of these steps, either to improve quality or to add new features or to find new user segment or to give more incentives to distribution channels. The organization need to focus on any of these to make the product avoid the decline stage. Because once the sale of the product goes down sharply, it becomes very difficult for any organization to bring the sale up to the previous mark again. So an organization must be aware and should be careful in the maturity stage of the product to save it going to the decline stage. So with this, we come to the end of your 8th unit in block 3. And I think these are not that difficult things to be understood. After the session, you can also go through the books, go through the main points so that you can get more clarity. Now, we have talked a lot about product, its characteristics, its life cycle, from the organization's point of view, what could be the corrective measures, what could be the precautions so that the product could be saved from entering into the decline stage. Now, we will be moving to something which nowadays have become very much essential for a product. One is branding, second one is packaging, and third one is servicing. Branding. What does branding mean? Branding means giving a name to the product. Brand is basically a name, and a symbol basically represents a logo. Once your brand is established, your logo also will be recognized by the consumers from a distance. But it takes time to establish a brand. Like you are known by your name. Similarly, a brand represents the name of a particular product. So this brand name and logo, they contribute a lot to the promotion, to the sale of a product. But in the primary stage, it is a difficult task for any product to establish its brand. So how this branding decision is done? Because if you have got many advantages with a brand, because once you establish a brand, this brand will serve as an assurance to the consumers about your performance, about the performance of your product. So how can you build up a brand? What would be the branding decisions? When you are going to brand your product, you will put all your effort to make the name known to the consumers. For that purpose, you need advertisement. But for that purpose, you need to create the awareness among the segment of consumers about the existence of your product. So this involves a lot of costs, because if you want to establish your product nationally, you have to give your ad in mass communication channels, in TV, which costs a lot. But if you are focusing on a particular region, then also you have to make the awareness campaign huge, so that the regional people will come to know about your product. So it involves a lot of cost. For that reason, many manufacturers, they manufacture the product, but they opt, or they take the help of some other organizations to sell their products, so that the product will be sold under an established name, and in that case they will not be promoting their individual brand. I am giving you an example. All of you must be using the products of Hindustan Unilever every day, some of the products. Whatever products you are using, have you ever gone through the written printed material on the package? Not all the products are manufactured by Hindustan Unilever. Hindustan Unilever is basically a marketing agency. Any organization which fulfills the quality standard and price negotiation with Hindustan Unilever is done properly, then many organizations opt to market their products through Hindustan Unilever. So that Hindustan Unilever, because it has got an established name in the field of marketing, their products will be marketed smoothly, and they don't need to promote another brand name for their product individually. So that is also, you can call sponsorship decision, brand sponsorship decision. And nowadays this concept is also taking place in malls, in shopping malls, because when you will be visiting Reliance Fresh, you will be finding some product which is not manufactured by Reliance, but are sold under Reliance Mall. In Big Bazaar also the same thing happens. So this is called brand sponsorship decision. Now if you go into branding, branding could be of two types. One is your individual branding, other one is your umbrella branding. Individual branding simply means you are giving names to every individual product. Umbrella branding means all the products of one organization get the same brand name. Let me give you an example. Suppose it is Godrej. Whether they are doing interiors, they are doing under the brand name Godrej. Whether they are selling refrigerators, it is also sold under the brand name Godrej. When they are selling air conditioners, those air conditioners are also sold under the brand name Godrej. So this is called umbrella branding. Under one brand name, you are selling all your products. You are not giving individual brand name to your products. You can differentiate this brand name with Hindustan Unilever. Hindustan Unilever itself has got a very big brand name. But when it is marketing its product, it is also giving some specific name to some of its products. Let's take the example of some beauty soaps. Lux, it is a name which itself has established a brand for the product. We are asking Lux to purchase a Lux to the shopkeeper. We are not asking to give a soap of Hindustan Unilever. We are asking him to give us a Lux soap. Similarly, in case of detergents, I can take the example of Hindustan Unilever. It is marketing Reen, it is marketing Surf, it is marketing Surf Excel Matic. But we are not demanding the shopkeeper to give us product of Hindustan Unilever detergents. We are simply asking him to give us a packet of Surf or Surf Excel Matic. So when individual name is given to products, that is individual branding. When all the products are sold under one brand name, that is called umbrella branding. All the varieties of products. Then how will you brand your product? How will you select a name for your product? So there are some basic principles, like you give name to your near and dear ones. Similarly, a name is chosen for a product. The basic principles would be, you should choose a name which should be easy to pronounce, easy to recognize. People should digest that name. In our culture, in a particular nation. And it should be, if it has got all these attributes, if it is easy to pronounce, easy to remember, easy to digest the name, easy to understand the name, then it would be memorized, it would be remembered by the consumers, so that at least you can leave a mark of your name, you can leave a mark of the brand, of your brand among the minds of consumers. Yes, a brand like this is existing in the market. And if your product is good, if it gives good value for the money, then automatically it will be more appreciated, more awareness will be there among the consumer, and you will be getting into a growth stage. For that reason, there are some certain elements of brand management. So what are those brand management elements? One is brand identity. As you know, identity gives you recognition. So brand identity also gives a recognition to the product. If your brand is an established one, then the product itself implies a promise to the customers from the organization. It gives assurance to the consumers. Brand identity. If the brand identity is substantial, if the brand identity has a good impression in the minds of consumers, then it can also be said that the brand image of this product is perceived well among the consumers. That means the consumers have built a good image of this brand in their mind. All these things are correlated. Once you create an identity for yourself, once you create your brand identity, there would be a brand image, a good brand image of your product in the consumer, among the consumers. When you are able to create a good image, then you have the opportunity to position your product, position your brand well among the consumer segment. And when you position well, then automatically the components, that means the loyalty of consumers, the growing awareness of consumers will automatically take place in the due course of time. This is also known as brand equity. Brand equity means once you make your identity, leaves a good image and creates a position for you, a product creates a position for you or your organization, then automatically the awareness goes up. Certainly you will find a bunch of, a segment of loyal customers to your product. Your perceived quality will be much better in the minds of consumers, and all these things will combinedly make your brand equity. So till now, we have covered about the brand, about the branding decisions, about the advantages of branding, how to select a good brand name, and what are the elements of brand management so that a product can leave an immensely satisfying image among the customers. So far what we have discussed, we can take a small break, and any one of you who would like to interact with me can interact. Anybody who wants to ask me anything regarding this particular marketing aspect of product? Hello?
Sir, on branding, what would be the questions? What would be the possible questions would be asked on branding and
Okay. For branding, what would be the possible questions for the semester, isn't it?
yes, sir.
Okay. For branding, you will be getting questions which will comprise of 2 or 3 short questions. Okay. The questions will come like this. What factors influence branding decision? What factors influence branding decision? That means to give a good name to your product, to position your product, to give an identity to your product, basically whatever will be asked regarding brand, you have to write the elements of brand management which have to be managed, which have to be kept in mind for a successful branding of a product. And there would be a small question attached to this question, and it will be asked in this way: what are the advantages of branding? Then another question will be attached to this one. Despite knowing the fact that branding is advantageous, why some of the companies don't go for branding, don't go for individual branding? So these 2 or 3 questions combined we make a long question. Okay.
So why the companies don't go for branding? Even like we know the advantages of it. Like it's a general question, not from this, but like
Yes.
just yeah.
As we have already discussed, for making a brand, for establishing a brand, you need to spend a lot, because you need to make a massive awareness campaign so that your product will stay in the mind of consumers. As a part of that massive awareness campaign, you have to make some advertisements. Now it is up to you how or through which means you prefer to advertise. Advertising involves a lot of cost. So it depends on the financial health of the organization, whether that organization will afford that cost or not. 1.1. That's why they don't go for branding. They prefer to sell it under another brand, another marketing brand. Second reason. Suppose there is similar product in the market which is offered at more or less the same price as yours, and the product belongs to an established branded company, branded organization. In that case, you have some doubts in your mind. In that case, the organization fears whether they will match up with that product in the competition in the market or not. Because that product is an established brand, it has been in the market for the last 5 years. We are with the product newly, whether our product, how the consumer will react to our product. So in that case, they also need advertisement, and if their budget doesn't permit them, rather they go for sponsorship branding decision, not by individual branding. And many other organizations, number 3, many other organizations first think to sell their product under a branded marketing agency. They do the market research, market survey. If they find that yes, their product is getting good appreciation, if their product is getting widely accepted in the market over a period of time, then they think of promoting their own brand, because by that time they will be having some money, and by that time that product is also known to many of the consumers. So after a certain period of time, they think of promoting their own brand. So these are the reasons why many organizations don't go for immediate branding, although there is many advantages of branding. So Surbi, is that clear? Or anything
Yes, sir.
else you
Yes,
like to
sir.
add?
Yeah.
Okay. You can take the example of one company so that you can remember it very well. Take the example of Hero Honda. That is the best example. Hero was previously known as a best manufacturer of cycles, bicycles, not motorcycles. So what it did, it tied up with Honda and manufactured bikes. After a certain period of time, when people came to know about the organization, that yes, with collaboration with Honda, Hero is manufacturing bike. After a certain period of time, both of them got separated and Hero manufactured the products under its own brand name. Okay.
Okay, okay, sir. Yeah. Thank you so much, sir.
Oh, you are most welcome. I am here because all of you. So, just to be covering the last part, which tells about packaging and labeling, but it is an interesting part, as packaging and labeling in the current scenario nowadays, packaging and labeling both are playing significant role for a product to be sold in the market. Previously, packaging was not given that much importance, because the prime objective of any organization was to produce a product and sell it in the market in any means. They were not bothered about the consumer's taste, the consumer's appreciation, about the design, about the packaging. They just wanted to sell their product. That means they wanted their products to be utilized. They did not bother much about the cover of the product, which actually gives protection to the product. So packaging basically means a cover, a protection which helps the product to reach the customer in a sound condition, in a good condition. Packaging is meant for the protection of the product. But in the due course of time, the packaging industry has come a long way. Because day by day, the organizations as well as the consumers felt the need in a change of packaging. Let us take some examples. Previously, some liquid medicines, they used to come in glass bottles. Glass bottles which are very sensitive, and at any point of time, if it falls, it will break. When it breaks, some losses occur in terms of economic, in terms of monetary value. Apart from that, it creates problem for the owner to clear up that place. During the course of clearing, there is also possibility that you may harm yourself with the pieces of glasses. For that reason, the non-breakable substances came into picture. You just imagine of the scenario. That demand actually changed the concept, and packaging changed. It made the container light. It became easier for the transporter to carry more number of items because the weight became less. Then what happens? People wanted to get one-stop solution. That means people gradually became accustomed to the mall concept. Why they prefer mall? Because they will be getting almost all the required things for their households under one roof. That is the advantage of getting into or shopping in a mall. In a mall, all types of items are displayed. Every rack would be containing different items. Every rack, every other alternative rack will be containing different items. And to explain about all these innumerable items, innumerable products, no mall can appoint the attendants, the salesman. Because one salesperson who is given the responsibility of 10 or 20 racks, he cannot explain all the customers about all the different products that are stored in different racks. After all, he is a human being. When that came to the mind of the organizations, they thought of something new. They thought that when the customers or the consumers are given free hand to touch the product in the mall, to know more about the product in the mall, they have access to physically hold that product in their hand. They think of printing everything regarding the product on the container itself. That again added to the packaging industry, which we know in general as labeling. So packaging and labeling industry has come a long way. Now packaging has got a product description. Packaging, you should think, package is the basic container in which the product is contained, is stored. Let us take the example of a perfume. The main product is perfume, but the perfume comes in a container. That container is the package. And whatever printed on that package is known as labeling. Similarly, suppose you are purchasing a gold ornament. That gold ornament is the product. The box within which it comes is the container, the box is the package. So, when you are purchasing, let's take the example of the perfume, the package also, the container also, with its design, with its color, with its shape, attracts the customers. And if the physical appearance of the container, of the package, attracts a consumer, then he wants to know more about that product, which he gets written as the label, written in the label. A label represents everything regarding that product. The basic objective of a label is to do the work of a salesman. You don't need the help of a salesman to understand the details of a product. You can hold the product in your hand, and from the labeling you can know details about the product. And as the mall concept is growing, all the industries, all the manufacturing sector, they thought it necessary to have a proper labeling so that their label will tell everything about their product, and that will act as a salesman for the product. So, what if we think about in general, if we think about the characteristics or the objectives of packaging. First objective is protection. It protects the product. Second one, it first creates the attraction for a consumer to take interest in that product, which is known as appeal. Then performance. Yes, if you are selling a product of high cost, the packaging, the container should look like that. That container should have that aristocratic look so that it should match up with the price of that product. And fourth, that should be convenient. Package should be convenient to carry, convenient to handle, convenient to dispose of,
That.
and it should be cost effective. That means it should be cost effective both for the manufacturer and
What was
for
that?
the
Pan.
consumer.
Pan you have written. How to write pan? Because just now.
Shilpi, you can please mute yourself, Shilpi. So cost effective means, cost effective doesn't always mean that it should be done with a low cost. Cost effective means it should be affordable for the consumer and also for the manufacturer. Because if you are dealing with jewelry, Shirvi, hello, can you listen me, Shirvi?
Yes, sir.
You can, some disturbance is coming from your side.
Oh, I'm sorry,
so-
sir. Sorry.
No, it's okay. No, little children, they don't know whether you are online on a class. It's okay, perfectly okay. Nothing to worry about that. So, cost effectiveness means if you are dealing with some valued product like the gold ornaments, your package should look like that, to match with the standard of the ornament. If you are dealing with perfume, your packaging should be like that to match the standard of your perfume. So it should be cost effective, means it should be affordable to both the manufacturer and the consumers. So packaging industry has come a long way. Now packaging, previously your Colgate tooth powder was coming in a tin. Now or the paste was coming through a tin tube. Now it is coming through tubes which can be easily disposed of and which can be easily squeezed. Then your materials for packing your food, the aluminum foil, all these things have changed, and the packaging industry has come a long way. Now there are different types of packing to promote your product. There is discount pack. Discount pack means there will be some discounts in the product. There is coupon pack. Coupon pack means if you purchase a product, you will be getting a coupon which will be giving you some discount in the next purchase. Premium package. Premium package means the packet will come with a gift. Like this prime packaging. Prime packaging means the package could be used, could be reused. That means suppose Horlicks is coming in a glass jar. So after the use of the Horlicks, the product, you can use that jar for storing water, or you can use it like a water jar. So these are called your prime packaging. So packaging could be done in different ways like this: discounted packing, coupon pack, premium package. And as you know, labeling. Labeling is nowadays acting as a salesman for the product. Label is basically the paper which is wrapped around the container, wrapped around the package, which tells everything about the product. A good labeling helps a potential buyer to make his decision favorably in support of that particular product. And the product support services now also play a role in successful marketing of a product product support services means the after sales service. It means the product warranty. Every product comes, any product which comes with a warranty, and if that product doesn't perform desirably within the warranty period, then that warranty commitment should be fulfilled by the manufacturer to the satisfaction of the consumer. So these product support services are now also playing a very supportive role to the promotion of sales of this product. So with this, actually we have come to the end of this unit, and by this we have already covered the third block, which basically tells about the product decision, product concept, product development, product life cycle, branding of products, packaging, and promoting after sales servicing, product support services. So anyone who is having any doubt can please ask me, and those who are present today, please drop a message in our group that tomorrow the class will be held at the same time using the same link. So now you can unmute and give your feedback and can ask me your doubts. The class is almost towards its fag end. Mukesh.
Sir.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Now,
Thank you.
Priya,
Thank you very much, sir.
Thanks, sir.
it's my pleasure. So Surbi, you want to ask something, Surbi?
No, sir, nothing to be asked, but thank you, sir, for the lovely session. I mean, yeah.
You are most welcome. And you actually, this class is taking some time of your child, no? He or she will be needing you at this time, and you are busy in attending classes. So just your kid has to bear it for another 2 or 3 days, then you will be getting more time for him or her.
No,
Okay,
no,
then.
it's fine, sir. It's absolutely fine. Actually, we are privileged that we are getting these classes, and it's very beneficial for us.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for the compliment, Priya. Surbi, you told yesterday you have 2 kids, whether girls or boys or combination of both.
It's a combination of both.
Elder one is son.
Yeah.
Okay. So your younger one must be seeking for your assistance during this time when I was talking to you.
Yeah. She wanted. Actually, I didn't realize that my mic was unmuted, and she was asking me something.
It's okay. Nothing to worry. Okay then. Thank you everyone for being with me for the last 2 hours. See you again tomorrow. Thank you and goodbye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thank you, sir. Bye, sir.